Supreme Court's game-changing ruling on immigration enforcement. What it means for you. The U.S. Supreme Court has handed down a landmark ruling that could change everything about immigration enforcement. This ruling affects deportations, green card applications, and the future of U.S. immigration policy. Are you wondering what this means for you or your loved ones? You need to know how this decision will impact your case. Stay tuned as we break it down for you. What happened in the Supreme Court ruling? The Supreme Court recently issued a 6-3 ruling that directly addresses how deportations will be handled moving forward. This ruling is a critical shift in how the U.S. government can prioritize who gets deported. For years, the executive branch had almost complete discretion over who could be removed from the U.S. The court, however, clarified that the government cannot bypass due process to deport individuals. This decision limits executive powers and introduces a need for constitutional safeguards when removing people from the country. Supreme Court ruled that immigration enforcement must respect constitutional protections. The ruling requires due process to be followed for deportation cases. It also limits the discretion of the executive branch in choosing who to deport. What does this mean for immigrants? For immigrants in the U.S., this ruling is a double-edged sword. On one hand, it provides more legal protections. On the other hand, it can create delays as the system adjusts to the new legal standards. For those who have been in the U.S. for years without a criminal record, the ruling is a step forward. It means that due process must be followed before any deportation. No longer can immigrants be sent back without a fair hearing. If you have clean records, strong community ties, and have lived in the U.S. for an extended period, this ruling gives you a better chance to remain in the country. Immigrants with clean records now have a stronger chance to fight deportation. The due process now applies to all deportation cases. Families may have more legal protection to stay together. What about families? This decision could be a game changer for families who have been affected by harsh enforcement policies. If you have been living in the U.S. for years, raised children, and have no criminal history, the decision offers more security. For families, this is good news. If you've been separated due to prior enforcement priorities, this ruling opens a door for families to stay together. This ruling ensures that due process will be followed and families will not be torn apart without a legal review. Families now have greater legal rights to stay together. This ruling protects long-term residents with clean records. The decision provides new opportunities to challenge unfair deportations. Who does this decision help? The Supreme Court's decision mainly helps immigrants who have lived in the U.S. for many years without violating the law. Long-term residents with clean records are likely to benefit the most. However, it's important to remember that criminal deportations will still be prioritized. So, this ruling doesn't protect high-risk individuals from being deported. For those without a criminal history and who've been in the U.S. for years, this ruling offers a stronger defense. For others, it ensures that due process is followed before deportation. Long-term residents with clean records are better protected. Those with serious criminal histories may not benefit from this ruling. The ruling ensures more fairness in deportation proceedings. How will enforcement change? The impact of this ruling will be felt across immigration agencies. ICE, CBP, and USCIS will have to revise their priorities and follow the new guidelines for deportations. This could lead to slower enforcement, as these agencies will need to ensure due process is followed. Cases that were once expedited may now take longer, as each case will be reviewed more thoroughly. While targeted enforcement is still allowed, the ruling requires immigration agencies to make their decisions more transparent and just. This means more oversight of deportation processes. ICE and CBP will need to revise policies to meet constitutional safeguards. Due process will now slow down deportation cases for fair hearings. A legal review will ensure immigrants' rights are respected. What are the risks? This ruling offers more protection to immigrants, but it comes with some risks. The biggest concern is the slowdown in deportations. As agencies adjust to the new ruling, cases could be delayed. There may be backlogs as courts review more cases to ensure fairness. This slower process might also create uncertainty for families facing deportation. There's a risk that priorities for deportation might be unclear, leading to inconsistent enforcement. Delays and backlogs in immigration cases could increase. Legal challenges over deportation priorities may cause further uncertainty. Inconsistent enforcement could lead to unequal treatment of cases. What happens next? This ruling is just the beginning. ICE, CBP, and USCIS will now need to update their policies and retrain their staff to follow the new guidelines. While enforcement priorities may be revised, expect the legal landscape to shift. More court challenges are likely as immigration advocates push to hold the government accountable for fair enforcement. In the coming months, we may see reforms and more public debates around how immigration laws are applied. These changes could lead to more protections for immigrants, but there will still be challenges. Agencies will need to revise enforcement strategies. More legal challenges are expected as advocates fight for fairness. This decision could spark immigration reforms that balance fairness and enforcement. Immediate impact on immigration cases. If you're facing deportation, this ruling means you can now fight your case more effectively. Whether you've been in the U.S. for years or decades, you now have better protection against unfair deportation orders. If your case is prioritized unfairly, you can demand a fair hearing. The ruling gives you a chance to present your case and ensure your rights are respected. This is critical for families who have lived in the U.S. for years. Immigrants facing deportation can now demand a fair hearing. Long-term residents can fight for the right to stay. The ruling ensures everyone gets a fair chance in court. Key takeaways. Deportations must follow due process. No more arbitrary removals. Long-time residents with clean records now have stronger defenses. Immigrants with strong community ties can now argue their case before deportation. The fight isn't over. This ruling changes how deportations happen, but we are likely to see more reforms ahead. Final thoughts. This Supreme Court ruling is a major shift in U.S. immigration enforcement. While it doesn't stop deportations, it ensures the due process is respected and that immigrants will have a fair chance to defend their rights. For many, especially long-term residents with clean records, this ruling brings new hope. It also means that families who have been separated by harsh policies may finally have the chance to stay together. However, the ruling also brings challenges. With more legal scrutiny comes the risk of delays and backlogs. The path ahead isn't entirely clear, and immigration agencies will need time to adapt. For now, the fight isn't over. The decision changes the process, but Congress and the courts will continue to shape what comes next. Stay informed, stay prepared, and ensure that your rights are protected. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for updates on future immigration news. Thanks for watching BorderDrip USA. See you in the next video.